Hai guys, kita lagi on the way ke Washington Square Park. Dan Zara lagi sale, tapi nggak penting. We're in the car right now.
Halo.
OTW, nanti kalau udah kami rekam lagi ya.
Whole Story is a project that Indonesia and Mbak Ika Natasha made in December.
Yeah,
I think
December.
the overall concept of it is actually to create a story based on the polling feature on Twitter. So what we did is actually we started the project in December 2015, last day of the year actually, the 31st of December. And then that day, Mbak Ika started to tweet an episode. Started at 9 p.m. until 10 p.m. So one episode consists of like 100 of tweets. And then at the end of the episode, Ika Natasha tweeted a poll asking the audience to decide what's going to happen the next episode. And then she did it every Tuesday and Thursday, every week. And then for 14 episodes.
14 episodes until Valentine's Day.
Until Valentine's Day. And then what happened during that 14 episodes is actually like an organic interaction between Mbak Ika's audience on Twitter. Because basically if I'm a fan of Mbak Ika, I can have the chance to be involved in the creative process of writing a novel actually. And then at the episode, at the 14th episode, the finale, we finished the story, and then I think Mbak Ika added a couple of episodes more. Yes, and then the latest update from the project is actually we're going to make a movie based on the story. So at least so from Twitter perspective, it's pretty interesting because so we started from a poll, like Twitter poll, and then we actually published a physical book. And then at the end of the journey, we produced like a feature movie, and then we have signed have signed like a contract with the producer of the movie, and then we're gonna start shooting at
Probably next year.
Probably next year. Also, if you follow the tweets and if you read the booklet as well, the interesting part of the story is actually also how we frame it, because the episodes within the week we do it every Tuesday and Thursday, and so we frame it. It's like an episode on a TV show, you know. So people anticipate because they know like every 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Thursday, Tuesday, they're gonna have this like storms of tweets, like 100 tweets of like an episode.
My name is Ika Natasha. You can call me Ika. Actually, I'm a full-time banker working at Bank Mandiri. Being a writer is just a hobby that happens to make it. so I usually write on weekends and in the evenings and all that. And then I've published 8 books so far. This is the 8th one. So Teguh actually came to me on the beginning of December 2015. Teguh had this idea, what if I actually use the Twitter poll as a tool to develop plots in the story that I'm writing. And then I'm very interested in the idea of involving readers actively into the process of writing by actually at the end of the episode, the idea is at the end of the episode, I'm gonna ask what's going to happen in the next episode. And I put the options over there, and then whoever follow the whole story can just pick whichever one they want. We have 24 hours before the result came in. And then the next day we announce the result, and then I was going to write the next episode based on the winner of the poll. And that's the way we treat the project until the end of the episode, which is Valentine's Day. And it was really interesting because sometimes, like, as a writer, I already have a grand design of the story, actually, because it is impossible to enter a project like this without having actually it drank his time because I'm going to get lost in the middle of the episode and people are going to get lost in the middle of the episode as well. And the funny thing is, in the beginning, I thought there were not going to be as many followers of the story because I didn't know that people like to read that many serial tweets on Twitter because each episode probably took up around 90 to 100 tweets. So one chapter is actually one episode. So you can imagine in the book, one chapter is around, I don't know, 10 pages. And I tweet the whole thing live on Twitter. But at the end of the project, we probably got like 49,000 readers. And I worked on the last 11 chapters for like 3 months. And then we published the book just a couple of months ago. We launched the book at Makassar International Writers Festival on May. In May. And then the book was already available in the bookstore since June. We are now in the 4th printing of the book, 50,000 copies so far. So it's really good. It's selling even a lot quicker than my last book, Critical 11, which is a national bestseller. And then just a couple of weeks since the book hit the bookshelves, Soraya Films, which is one of the biggest movie studio in Indonesia, I already worked on them on my other book to be adapted into a movie. The owner called me and said that he was interested. We had a meeting and we signed the movie deal last week.
Just a bit background of Mike. I think you tell me about how you see Twitter as a platform.
Okay. I love Twitter, obviously. I tweet a lot, you see. I tweet a lot. Because I work in a bank, it's rather impossible for me to meet my readers as often as I wanted to. Like other writers can go on book tours and all that. So I use Twitter as a means to constantly communicate and engage my readers in a lot of activities. Like I have quizzes on my Twitter. And sometimes I ask them about what they want me to write next. I ask them about their opinion about my books, and then we discuss characters of the books in there. And then in 2011, I even did something really different. So I created a Twitter account for the fictional character in one of my books. And then she tweeted her daily life. So I published the book entirely written on Twitter. In 2012, I think. It's also a bestseller right now, and it also has a movie deal. So there's going to be another movie coming out next year. So I have like.
So you're saying that
next year.
So you're saying that you're putting like life to this, like the character.
Yeah, the character. I act like the character in the tweets.
So you squeeze like first person as the character.
You guys follow it?
No. Yeah, I follow it again. Who's
the name of the book?
Alexandra.
Okay.
Even like you make it private, right? So then people
make it private, right?
And some people really like want to.
So I have like around 15,000 followers with and I make it a private account. I have a pending request for like 13,000. I can barely scroll and approve everything.
Can you also tell us about like the deal when Gramedia, which is the book publisher, decided to print this project as a physical book?
Okay, after I had a meeting with Teguh, I talked to my publisher, and I said that so we have this project. We don't know how long the story is going to be. Initially, I intended it to be just a novella, which is like 80 pages long, and in the end, it like I don't know 300. So initially, we're gonna make it just 80 pages, but you know how it happens. Sometimes the story and the characters just take you further than you were initially ready for. So I talked to them and they said, "What do you think if we publish the whole story into a book?" and they asked me, do you want to just publish the whole story into a book, or do you want to add additional chapters after the whole story? So when people got the book, they have extra curiosity, right? And I said, it's no problem for me. We can just publish the whole story, or I can just write more. And I decided to write more to give an added value to the book. And so they said yes, and then we just signed our agreement.
Anyway, is there any questions, guys? Is there any things that you want to discuss or respond, or things that you want to say about the project? Questions? Yes?
I have a couple questions. So the first one is, in terms of, you talked about your timing and writing on the weekend, as someone who wants to be writing more, aspiring to be writing, how do you, that's always like my biggest maybe excuse to myself, is that, you know, working full time and doing other things, like how do you be disciplined about carving out your writing time?
For me, writing is actually a hobby. So I find it, I treat writing as an escape. I've been a banker for like 14 years now.
Whoa.
So, and I crunch numbers from Monday to Friday. So writing is a way for me to have a holiday in my mind. A way for me to create my own world and things like that. The same way probably you guys go to see a band live or eat out or see a movie as a way to escape from it. So that's what I do. And I try not to put pressure on myself too much. Like I don't have a target like I have to write 1 page a day or 1 page a week. I treat it like a fun activity. But usually when I'm in the mood, I can write probably like 2 or 3 chapters every weekend.
Do you put, like, you don't put deadlines, right?
I don't, yeah.
How you push yourself when, like, we're like, so everything is like super chill, like.
Yeah, super chill.
Okay.
Because my life in the bank is not chill at all. So,
I'm gonna make sure that, yeah.
So I try to basically, with my publisher, they don't push any deadlines to me, but the pressure on me is actually comes from my readers. So the pressure actually came from my readers, and then for me as a writer, it is actually an honor that somebody actually look forward for you to write your next piece. And so I try to find ideas as often as I can by reading a lot and maybe traveling and then conversing with people.
Is there any tips for writers that want to be more disciplined about writing?
I'm not the one to ask actually. About
I think
discipline.
she answered it. I love what you said about like don't put parameters, like don't be so hard on yourself. I think that's part of it, where it's like
Yeah. A lot of writers are too hard on themselves.
She has a question.
Oh, of course,
I tried to
Please.
Yeah.
je pose la question en français.
Yeah.
Alors, quels sont les éléments qui l'ont marqué? Quels sont les éléments architecturaux qui l'ont vraiment marqué et qui l'ont poussé à écrire cet ouvrage?
Okay. So what kind of like the architecture side that you try to expose, like try to explore in this book? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. There's a line in the book where I said that architecture is a combination of mind, love, and reason. And then you can reason. Okay. Reason. Diketik loh sama dia. Biar gak lupa. Okay. So architecture is a combination of love, mind, and reason. And then it is the lead character, the male lead character in the book is an architect. The lead female character in the book is a writer. The girl went to New York for 3 months so far because she was experiencing an extreme writer's block. She can't write. So she thought she would travel to the city where everything happens and try to find inspiration here. And then she met this guy, which is an architect, who also ran away to New York because of his past. And then they met and then they started talking, and the girl told him about her inability to write for quite some time. And the guy started telling her about the history behind the Grand Central, and then the history behind the Flatiron. And then he also said that as an architect, you cannot treat a building or build something because it's technically correct to do so. But you have to think about the emotional value that the owner of the building has to the building, and then also the attachment or the things that you feel when you build a house. You cannot just see the house as something practical to live in, but it has to invoke a certain kind of, this is home, this is not the house, and that can only happen when you design something with that in mind, that it is a combination between love, mind, and reason. And then somehow that thing that the guy said to the girl made her writer's block go away, and then she just started writing again. And then I guess what I'm telling in the story is that sometimes you look for answers for problems that you're having in your life, and then sometimes the answers itself came from a stranger that you never met before, and that's what happens in our life sometimes.
Kalian say hi dong. Hai. Terus ya udah duduk deh.
Ada es krim green tea enak.
Oh ya nanti deh di sini. Hai guys. Hi, we're in Bryant Park. Aku lagi nongkrong sama teman-teman pembaca di sini. Ada Wulan, ada Ginny, ada Andrea, ada Dacil gitu ya. Terus kalian tebak kita lagi di mana? Kita itu lagi di Bryant Park, so you can see that's the park. Dan kalau kalian tahu adegan yang si Raya dan River nongkrong dan ke reading room di Bryant Park, tuh reading roomnya. So we actually sitting in the reading room right now. It's siang-siang di New York, summer. Kemudian ada konser gratis di situ. And restoran yang tempat mereka makan itu yang Bryant Park Grill, itu yang gedung hijau di situ. And that's where we gonna have lunch later. So ini yang namanya reading room. You guys can see. Nanti aku rekam-rekam lagi ya. Bye bye. Bryant Park Grill. Kalau yang udah baca Architecture of Love, ini tempat makannya River sama Raya. I'll show you around the places first. So that's the restaurant. Dan di sana itu Bryant Park-nya. Dan di sudut itu waktu itu mereka duduk yang di meja berdua. Tapi kita lagi berlima, jadi kita duduk sini. Say hi guys. Hai. Ini teman-teman pembacaku yang kebetulan tinggal di Amerika. And kita lunch bareng hari ini. Dan inilah coklat peanut butter s'more yang ada di buku Architecture of Love itu. How does it taste?
So good.
So good.
So good, so sweet.
Yeah. So there it is. There it is. Can you imagine? Hi, we are at the Flatiron. Udah tuh.
Yeah.
Crossing the street right now. Hi. Ada aku, ada Teguh dari
Halo.
Twitter.
Hi.
Shit here. Sini ya?
Yes.
Oke.
Yang penting jadi dulu.
Bentar ya, gua giniin dulu. Itu Empire State kan ya?
That one, yes.
Ya. Empire State. Jadi kita di lingkungan Flatiron sekarang. There's the Flatiron building, you can see. And then there's us. Terus kita sekarang mau periskopan. Hai. Kedengaran lah ya suaranya ya. Kedengaran. Oke. Hi, we're finally di Flatiron. Lebih tepatnya kita kayak ada. Ini nama tempatnya apa sih, Gu?
Ini kita di daerah Manhattan, di
Okay.
Flatiron Building.
Okay.
Di daerah Flatiron ya. Sebelah kiri kita ada Madison Square Park.
Oke, jadi di depannya gitu kayak ada tempat-tempat nongkrong gitu, like duduk kayak begini. So we're hanging out like it's nobody's business right now. Cuma modal air doang. Oke. Dan di belakangku udah ada Flatiron yang ada di The Architecture of Love. Masih ingat nggak adegannya? Jadi waktu nulis Architecture of Love sama sekali belum pernah ke New York ya. Dan aku pengen bikin karakter utama cowoknya itu arsitek. So naturally pas dia jalan ke New York yang full of beautiful buildings and unique architecture, dia akan sedikit ngajarin tentang gedung-gedung ini ke si ceweknya, si Raya gitu. Jadi satu yang unik menurutku adalah Flatiron. Makanya waktu itu di hari pertama si Raya dan River jalan-jalan, River ngajaknya ke Flatiron, and then they walk around the building. Kemudian mereka nongkrong di situ tuh, yang Italy. Di dalamnya ada tempat ngopi, namanya Lavazza. Di situ, like I'll show it this camera also. So, oke. Mereka nongkrong ngopi di situ, terus si Rivernya yang berdiri di luar sambil sketching. And it was winter, dingin. Kita alhamdulillah ya, Bo ya, perginya summer. Kalau nggak gue udah kayak gini di sini gitu. Terus itulah kira-kira ceritanya di awal. The building is that way dan masih surreal, Bo. Kita nyampe di sini. Kalau kalian ada pertanyaan atau anything, just ask me, I'll try to answer. Ada yang nanya nggak?
Tadi
Ini
Kak.
Teguh nih yang megang HP gue, Teguh.
Go flip. Hai, halo.
Aduh.
Hai, halo. Tadi nanya Kak, ngiterin Flatiron dong gitu katanya.
Oh, oke. Bisa sih?
Bisa?
Bisa.
Teguh sebelumnya nanya, kenapa Flatiron inspirasinya gitu?
Ya itu kayak tadi aku bilang, dari banyak arsitektur di New York, menurutku Flatiron ini gedung yang aneh ya. Dan kita kali udah pernah ngeliat di film kayak, kalau nonton Spider-Man ya, kantornya Daily Bugle, tempat si Peter Parker kerja, itu di situ. Di situ gitu. That's how I got to know the building, and I found it to be weird kan, begini kan, kayak setrikaan, makanya namanya Flatiron.
Kapan kita bisa tahu pemerannya siapa?
Honestly ya, kalau proses development film itu panjang ya. Jadi aku kan baru sign like a couple of weeks ago. Kemudian si produsernya itu sekarang lagi ngerjain antologi rasa, like you know. Jadi itu akan keluar duluan. Setelah dia kelar rilis antologi rasa, baru dia start working on Architecture of Love.
Oke.
Tapi si Pak produser sendiri titip ke aku pas ke New York ini, tolong liatin tempat-tempat yang lucu buat syuting gitu.
Ya udah, Teguh aja jadi River katanya. Wah, saya bukan arsitek. Nggak sabar kak filmnya katanya. Oke.
Ya udah kita jalan keliling dulu ya.
Jalan ya.
Ya. Oke tuh, yuk. Kita lagi mau jalan ngelilingin Flatiron. So there's the building. And there's me. Terus Teguh di belakang gua. Mau dari kiri kanan sini aja.
Ya, gue dari belakang.
Hai. Dan ini ada kayak tempat makan juga.
Iya.
Dan nongkrong. Like breakfast and stuff. Lucu ya? Kita jalan kelilingin Flatiron.
Kita mungkin melilingin satu lab kali mbak ya, Flatiron.
Iya. Ini pintunya, you see?
Kak, somehow I think Julie Estelle suits Anya from Chemical 11.
Oh, oke. Pertanyaan tentang buku lain tidak dijawab di sini.
It's weird. Mau rimat di arsitektur apa?
Apa katanya?
Katanya Julie Estelle cocok buat
Oh, oke.
masuk ke Flatiron nggak kak?
Enggak.
Stores.
Dan belum buka.
And then
Tadi kami mau masuk kan, ada toko Lego juga deket situ. There's a Lego store. Tapi belum buka, jadi nggak bisa masuk. Jadi yang di sini toko sih. Here's another view of New York, you can see. Terus ini like the subway kalau mau ke Flatiron. Tuh, tapi kita nggak naik subway.
letter NNR is actually the lane.
So that's the 5th Avenue. And we just did a lap on the Flatiron. There. Itu ada Empire State kelihatan dari sini.
Oh, tidak building.
Itu Empire State. I'll zoom in ya. See? That is Empire State. Okay. We are at the Lego store. And ini yang edisi khusus New Yorknya. Ada Flatiron. Oh, you just have to link.
Whatever's up there, now that we can just split it. No, we don't need one. We only need one out.
Dan aku mau beliin ini buat temanku. Hai, kita sudah sampai di Grand Central. Tuh, kelihatan. Okay, I'll turn around the camera. There's the Grand Central Terminal in New York. See the yellow caps. That's the area. Kalau nggak salah waktu nulis di Fortiari aku juga ada nge-sketch Alex sama Beno di sini deh. And then kita akan mulai. Kita akan mulai periskop. Itu dia oknumnya. Oke.
Oke, live ya. 3.
Ya.
3, 2, 1.
Udah. Hai guys gitu ya. Balik lagi sama gue ini kayak siaran sih. Kita tadi udah naksi dari sana, nguber lebih tepatnya, dan kita udah nyampe di Grand Central Terminal. Itu di belakang. See. This is my first time to here. Ini juga pertama kali. Kalau Flatiron kemarin udah pernah main ke sana. Kalau kalian ingat di bukunya di Architecture of Love, si River di sini cerita sama Raya tentang apa makna sebuah bangunan buat dia, dan ada bagian di dalam yang Whispering Gallery itu yang dulu tempat yang dulu menginspirasi dia buat jadi arsitek, dan ternyata tempat itu juga punya cerita buat si Raya waktu masa kecil. So we're going to go inside and see what's up karena pertama kali juga. Ayo. Lo kasih tau jalannya ya, Bo. Masuknya dari? Oke. Kita akan nyebrang. Nunggu tuh ada lampu buat penyeberangan jalan. Yeah. Kalau di Medan lari aja nih nyebrangnya kan. Terus tabrak.
How's New York, Kak? At Dini Duyan.
Oh, I love it. It's like I can't even put words into it. I just love it. Dan ini Park Avenue di situ.
Ika, why New York?
Why not? Exactly. Kita nunggu lampu penyeberangan jalan.
Kita mencari Pokemon ya, kan?
Kagak, Bo. Jadi gua udah nyerah, nggak mau main Pokemon lagi, itu like merusak hidup. Beneran. Like, oke udah, yuk. Kita akan nyebrang. Ada Banana Republic, tapi nggak boleh shopping. Terus gini, ada Banana Republic, tapi nggak boleh shopping. Here it is. Kita akan masuk ke dalam. There. Yeah. Yeah, kita di dalam sekarang.
You watch Hollywood movies setting in New York.
Yeah. Like, kalau nggak salah Sleepless in Seattle juga ada deh,
yes.
ya kan? Ya waktu dia nyampe, Bo, ya kan? Waktu dia nyampe, gitu kan?
Kak, ada rencana nonton salah satu Broadway show?
Nggak sempet. Terus kakaknya kalau malam ngantuk.
Lihatin langit-langitnya, Kak.
Oke. Kita liatin ya. Ini tempat jajan-jajan. Kita sekarang masuk ke main concourse. Gila lu, udah sampai sini. Gila. Main concourse. In case you're asking, di dalamnya dingin karena ber-AC. Nggak kayak Pulau Gadung. Pulau Gadung aman ya. Tada! Tuh langit-langit yang gue bilang. Yang ada kalau di atasnya tuh ada konstelasi. Sit.
You up there?
Then we can go upstairs and then
Walk up there.
Sebentar. Sambilan, oke? Kita di Grand Central. Jadi mereka datang sini, terus masuk. Terus si River cerita tentang sejarah langit-langit yang di atas. Terus ada cerita ketika mereka nanti nyoba Whispering Gallery, which is pretty cool. Nanti kita lihat. Terus jadi udah, kita sekarang mana dulu? Lead the way, go lead the way. Oke. We are going.
Kak, yang ada bekas asap hitam itu di mana?
Itu yang di depan Michael Jordan Steakhouse. Gue juga nggak tahu, Bo. Ini gue ngikut Teguh aja. Kalau mau denger suara Teguh kan. Kita masuk ke dalam-dalamnya sekarang. There.
Kak, ini tempat flashmob-nya Justin Timberlake.
Hah?
Mila Kunis.
Mana?
I don't know.
Oh iya, betul.
Is it?
Betul, ya.
This is an exciting part of the central.
So we're going inside. Di sini mulai panas dikit. BTW ini Whispering Gallery. Oke. Ini Whispering Gallery. See, that person is trying it. Kedengarannya di mana sih? Gue mau nyoba ya. Oh, sini ke situ. Mau nyoba nggak? Yuk.
Oke.
Tunggu sampai kakak-kakak ini pergi ya. Kakak-kakak ini. Tuh dari sini bisa bisik-bisik ke situ. Oh, oke. Oke. Jadi ada magic in architecture, you know. Kayak kalau misalnya kita nonton Twilight Orchestra di gedung pertunjukan kan, apa ya, akustiknya bagus banget. Di sini juga uniknya kalau kita berdiri di satu sudut tuh, yang dicoba sama om-om itu, yang di seberangnya bisa dengar, Bo, dia ngomong apa. Yang di seberangnya bisa dengar dia ngomong apa. So you see there, tuh, bisa dengar. Padahal cuma bisik doang ke dinding, tapi bisa dengar gitu. Makanya ini disebut Whispering Gallery.
Bisa nyobain.
Ya, jadi kita mau nyobain sekarang. Jadi di cerita itu si River berdiri di satu sudut, si Raya berdiri di satu sudut, terus mereka bisa ngobrol, dan mereka takjub sendiri, wow gitu kan. Dan kita mau nyoba sekarang walaupun kami bukan River dan Raya. Oke, gue sebelah sana atau sebelah situ? Gue nganter gitu. Oke, let's just queue. Itu Teguh di sudut sana. See, you can see Teguh. Dan gue lagi nyoba di sini. Oke, kita mau coba. Ini ada yang lagi nyoba nih, dan dia bilang sama kawannya, ih kedengeran.
I can hear you. Sorry. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Yeah.
Tuh Teguh lagi ngantri di situ, gue lagi ngantri sini. Oke. Kita mau nyoba ya. Oke. Anjir, kedengeran beneran loh. Wow. Dan kenceng banget kedengerannya. Hah? Kok bisa sih gue? Anjir, kedengeran beneran asli. Jadi Teguh ngomong di situ kan, hai mbak, gitu kan. Hah? Dan suaranya kenceng ya gue ya? Kita kayak tuh kan? Kita kayak anak kecil yang menemukan mainan baru. It works. Lo masih di situ, oke? Kalau gua ngomong ke sini kedengeran di periskopnya nggak? Hai, kalian bisa dengar aku nggak? Can you guys hear me? I can hear Teguh though. Hah? Serius? Wow! You know what? You guys just experience magic with me, you know? You just experience magic with me. Keren kan? Lo tau nggak? Dengan periskop, lo bisa mengalami yang gua rasakan bahkan tanpa lo harus kesini. Keren gila kan? Keren gila merinding. Oke. Kita tadi udah ke bawah ngelihat Whispering Gallery. Sekarang aku mau tunjukin ada satu adegan di mana si River nunjukin langit-langit ini ke Raya. Kemudian ada satu, jadi dulu langit-langit ini sebenarnya hasil restorasi. Like this building was built like hundreds of years ago. dan masih kepake sampai sekarang. Jadi dulu kan ceritanya di sini kereta apinya yang bahan bakar apa sih, batu bara ya, coal kan. Jadi dulu ini sempat rusak langit-langitnya, jadi ketutupan hitam semuanya begitu kan. Dan people assume that it's the coal from the train. Kemudian aku lupa tahun berapa diadakan program restorasi dari langit-langit ini, dibersihin segala macam, dibersihin sehingga jadi seperti sekarang. But when they actually test the black matter that was covering the ceiling, ternyata bukan dari asap kereta api, Bu, tapi dari asap rokok dan cerutu semua penumpang yang selama sekian puluh tahun itu di sini. Jadi kebayangkan ya, bisa nutupin segitu gitu. Jadi katanya untuk mengingatkan orang-orang gimana dulu bentuk langit-langitnya sebelum dibersihkan, ada disisain satu area di langit-langit yang masih hitam dan nggak dibersihin. Itu yang mau aku tunjukin ya. And we are here. I'll zoom in.
Look at that black spot.
See? Itu dia. We are at Paley Park. Akhirnya nyampe di sini, as you guys can see. Aku putar kameranya. So that's the park. Pretty cool, isn't it? Makin masuk, makin nggak kedengeran suara noise di luar, nggak kedengeran traffic. There, and people just hanging out. Dan ini air terjunnya. It's like the best thing ever. Dan di sini sejuk banget. Okay? So I'll talk to you later. Bye bye. We're gonna enjoy the park for a while.